Waco City Council on February 17th, 2026 to order at 3:02 p.m. Welcome to the work session of the Waco City Council. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Everybody gathered here in the Bosque Theater Gallery. It's a nice crowd here. And welcome to all the viewers at home watching on the Waco City Cable Channel. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here in this forum today. I'm Mayor Jim Holmes, and I'm joined on the dais here today by our council members, Josh Borderoud, District 3, Darius Ewing from District 4, George Chase from District 5, and our Mayor Pro Tem Andrea Bearfield. Isabel Lozano from District 2 is on her way. She'll be here a little late today. Also joined on the adjacent dais over to my left and your right by senior city staff, City Manager Ryan Holt, City Attorney Kristen Hamilton Karam, and City Secretary Michelle Hicks. We're going to start the meeting today with a moment of silence. All right, first item of business today is the recognition of work session speakers, and we do have one card, correct? City Secretary Michelle?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. He will be speaking at the work session.
Okay. Oh, so right now we have Val DeLeon. If you would like to, let me read the preamble here first. Anyone present who would like to speak on a work session agenda item, provide an opportunity for the public to address the City Council on any agenda item during the public comments portion of the agenda. On items other than public hearings, speakers will be allotted 1 3-minute presentation, regardless of the number of agenda items the speaker wishes to address. If you're here to speak and have not filled out a registration card, please see the City Secretary's staff at the registration table outside of the auditorium to provide registration information so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. And when called to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Each speaker must limit comments to 3 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more individuals present, please have those persons stand at the beginning of your comments and you'll be given 10 minutes to address the council. Please note that if you stand in support of a person getting 10 minutes to speak, you are forfeiting your right to speak on that item. For any person addressing the council through the use of a translator, the speaking time will be doubled to accommodate the translation services. While public discourse is very important to this council, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the Sergeant at Arms shall remove from the council meeting any person who, while addressing the city council or while attending the city council meeting, makes personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, becomes boisterous, or makes unauthorized remarks from the audience, claps hands, stomps feet, whistles, yells, or makes similar demonstrations. So we have one card here. When called to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. And that card is, I'm sorry, Mr. DeLeon, now you may approach the podium. I had to do all the caveats there.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Val DeLeon, the Director of Development for the Vecino Group, and I'm here this afternoon speaking on an agenda item 2026-091 regarding the support for affordable housing developments and specifically our development in Council District 2, Asteri Waco. I believe we shared with the city manager or city secretary this afternoon a letter of support that we're pleased to present to council from Representative Pete Sessions. So I believe that's been provided to you all. But other than that, we're just here making ourselves available if there are any questions from council.
Thank you, Mr. DeLeon. Any questions for Val? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present who'd like to speak on a work session agenda item this afternoon? Seeing no other requests to speak, we'll now recess the regular session and convene into work session with a report from our City Manager, Ryan Holt. City Manager Holt.
Morning, afternoon, Mayor and Council, and welcome to all those joining us in the audience and online. There are no changes on today's agenda. As far as employee recognitions go, last week was an extremely busy week for the City of Waco team. On Tuesday, the City of Waco Neighborhood Engagement Department hosted the annual Faith Leaders Summit at the Waco Convention Center. Nearly 170 faith leaders representing 20 different denominations joined the City of Waco leadership staff and multiple nonprofit representatives for a morning of fellowship and learning. 2 sessions were offered for attendees, including a panel on unhoused and housing resources and a civilian response safety training provided by Detective Eric Hawkins of the Waco Police Department. City departments and local nonprofits provided 32 resource tables highlighting our community resources for the faith community to take back to their congregations and organizations. Thank you to the neighborhood engagement team, especially to Crystal Anthony, for putting this annual event together, and to our many city staff who attended to provide information to our local faith community leadership.
Yeah, that was a great event, and I appreciate Galen, Director Price. Where are you? Are you out here today? Yeah, Director Price, thanks for moderating that super interesting panel. You had a heavyweight group there of people who have been working on the housing issue in Waco for a long time, and they had some interesting insight. So it was a fun morning. It was a great morning. A lot of good work done. I appreciate everybody's work on that.
Then on Thursday, last week, we celebrated the inaugural Employee Anniversary Milestones Luncheon, recognizing employees who recently celebrated a 5-year incremental milestone with the City of Waco. Our HR, Communications, Marketing, Parks and Recreation, and Public Works team put a phenomenal event on at the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and Museum's Knox Hall venue, with lunch provided by 68-year in business La Fiesta, and a program featuring special guest speaker Chet Garner of the Emmy Award-winning Texas travel program, The Day Tripper. Employees received commemorative City of Waco street signs with emblems to recognize each 5-year increment of their tenure with the city. This year, we celebrated 34 employees with anniversaries that occurred during the October through December of 25 timeframe, ranging from 5-year anniversaries all the way to a 30-year anniversary. In future years, we'll celebrate employee milestones for the full calendar year. We have a brief video showcasing the luncheon and recognized employees, I believe.
City Manager Holt, I'll just pop in to say, really enjoyed the guest speaker and the intentionality of this event. I think our HR department did a great job with this. I think the comms team did a great job with this. It was really special to be able to celebrate our city staff who are so valuable to us and who do such amazing work, often unrecognized, hitting each milestone there from 5 years onward. I think I hope the feedback on it was good, but those city signs were amazing, the street signs. That was such a nice touch by the street department. And so grateful for our own city manager who hit his 30-year mark, and I think will be recognized at the next one. This might have recognized about 3 months worth of milestones. I think the next one will do 12 months. So this was a great first event, and looking forward to continue to recognizing folks like this. This was a really special thing for our people.
Yeah, definitely a fun lunch and a nice way to commemorate it too with those signs. And you'll be adding, as they spend 5-year increments, to get more
Tokens,
medallions
more
on there. And just, I want to echo Councilmember Borderoud, just super appreciative of not only the employees who are celebrating 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, but just everybody. We've strived to be best in class. You know, that's what our deal is, and that's what we are achieving. And we get great feedback from the community in several ways with our bond rating, which is like as high as we can get, and with anecdotal feedback through our My Waco app. And just, this council and me, I appreciate all the work that our city workers are doing and raising the bar. It seems like you guys are consistently raising the bar of good services. So thank you. It's a fun way to celebrate it.
Great. It was a fun time. Also on Thursday, our Parks team opened the 5th annual Mini Black History Museum at the Dewey Community Center to celebrate 100 years of Black History Month. This pop-up exhibit is open Monday through Saturday and will be available through February 27th. The exhibit features stories of African-American leaders, innovators, and trailblazers who have helped shape our history and our community. And on Friday of last week, Our Library and Cultural Enrichment Department, alongside Transformation Waco and the STEAM Center, we're excited to host Texas State Representative Retta Bowers of House District 113 for a tour of the newly opened Bledsoe Miller STEAM Center. We were thrilled to receive a certificate of congratulations from Representative Bowers on behalf of the State of Texas House of Reps for the grand opening and transformation of the Bledsoe Miller Community Center into the new STEAM facility for its role in inspiring, learning, and innovation and community growth.
If y'all go on her social, my social, whatever, they had a drum kit out in one of the classrooms, and when I tell you a time was had, and even her staff, she and her staff had a good time experiencing the STEAM Center. They got to go into the recording space, and her mind was blown. Rep Bowers is the author of the Texas Girls in STEM Day, which is March the 1st. And she heard about, I've told her about the STEAM Center for a long time, but she came and, not only did she invite us to participate in Texas Girl in STEM Day, she is going to promote the Bledsoe Miller STEAM Center because she hadn't seen anything like it and was absolutely blown away. So shout out again to everybody who had something to do with this amazing project.
Just a quick shout out to Delta Sigma Theta Sororities Incorporated, showing up quite strong there in that photo.
You think. There was one other D9 member
Shall not be
in
named.
the house, but,
No, it was-
get stuff done. Go ahead.
It was a fantastic, fantastic presentation. It's always an honor to receive recognition, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find something in our city more deserving of recognition than the STEAM Center that is truly a huge light in the city and the state in terms of what it has to offer and being first in class in so many things. And I am honored to take part in it, and I believe she mentioned sending a flag that flew over the state capitol
gonna send a flag
our way
that flew over
to fly over there, which will be really fun. So yeah, could not be more honored and grateful for the recognition and as well as the continued work that goes into this. Obviously, many flowers have been shared for Councilwoman Bearfield and Deputy City Manager Deidre Emerson for getting this across the finish line. But if you go there right now today, you get to interact with some really phenomenal staff that are continuing the day-to-day operations through Transformation Waco. And also, good luck finding a parking spot at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning when that playground is hopping. And
Or 9 o'clock.
I was going to say, I'm rambling here, but I do want to call out that you mentioned seeing some folks there at 9 p.m. just playing on the rocket ship. Yeah, it's well lit. What can we say? I'll end my comments there.
I've been to the top. It's amazing.
We all know you've
She didn't go
been there,
down the
John.
slide, but the two of the staff members did.
A wise man once told me it starts in parks.
Hey.
Mayor and Council, there are 4 informal reports today. Informal Report 84 provides our 2025 racial profiling report from Waco PD. The city contracts with Del Carmen Consulting to compile this report, which provides an overview of Texas state law and analysis and interpretation of Waco PD's data. In 2025, the city of Waco received 0 racial profiling complaints. Informal Report number 85 provides an update on the 7th Street Plaza project. You may remember this project started as a summertime pilot project for branding and activation downtown. Following positive public reception, additional PID funds were designated for design and activation of the space. This project is nearing completion, although I heard today it's complete. Yep, got a head shake back there, so it's complete today. And Creative Waco and City Center Waco anticipate a March ribbon cutting to celebrate and formally reopen the space. Informal Report 86 provides fiscal year 26 first quarter investment report. Managing Director of Finance Colin Booth will cover a brief summary of this report in his work session presentation as well. Informal Report 87 provides the December 2025 monthly management report. This report covers an overview of major fund performance, economic indicators, and capital improvement program projects. And finally, I'd like to also note that on your business session agenda, we have a proclamation for Dr. Robert Doyle of Baylor University in honor of his upcoming retirement. We'll do the proclamation this evening, but I wanted to highlight the impact Dr. Doyle has had on the Lake Waco wetlands and the programming that we have out there. In his tenure, Dr. Doyle worked closely with city staff and water utilities and the Lake Waco wetlands. In his prior roles as the Director of Centers for Reservoir and Aquatic Systems Research and Chair of the Baylor Department of Biology, he's also been a key contributor to water quality research and education, and we're grateful for his work and dedication to this important issue in our community. There are 26 resolutions on tonight's agenda, and with your permission, I'll highlight just a few of those. Item 104 approves the submission of an application for a $1 million grant to the Texas Anti-Gang Program for the 26-27 fiscal year. This program is an invitation-only grant program funded through the Public Safety Office under the Office of the Governor. Waco's been a recipient of this designated fund since 2019. The TAG Center combines regional multidisciplinary efforts between Waco PD, McLennan County, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and others to combat gang violence and enhance public safety. In the last grant cycle, TAG enforcement units reported 77 documented gang members arrested on felony offenses, 60 gang members arrested on misdemeanor offenses, 959 non-gang member arrests, and 115 firearms seized. Item 106 considers the purchase and installation of a new splash pad and expanded pavilion at Chapel Park in the amount of $744,000 from Craftsman Commercial Playgrounds. This project will enhance the park's design and functionality through updated equipment, furnishings, and materials that meet current safety standards.
Real quick on that one, really appreciate Parks working with Midway ISD School District and their superintendent to get a nice, beautiful, refreshed splash pad and to really show the city investment in West Waco.
Then item 117 provides for phase 1 of the necessary repairs on a collapsed 42-inch wastewater line along MLK Boulevard under the Union Pacific Railroad line. This collapse necessitated the large black bypass line that's visible along MLK between MLK and the I-35 frontage road just east of Bridge Street. The contract requires the contractor Timco Blastings to install 115 linear feet of 42-inch steel pipe using a boring and jack method, resetting an existing manhole and performing concrete riprap and channel repairs at a cost of $2.4 million. This work is estimated to be completed in June of '26. There will be 2 additional phases anticipated in the future. The second phase will include installation of a new manhole, and the third phase will consist of cure-in-place lining of the repaired sewer line. Staff will seek council authorization for the additional phases at a future meeting. Staff estimates completion of all 3 phases and removal of the bypass line by October 1 of this year.
And City Manager Holt, that's all of that pipe is sort of external right now. So, and this is just a part of it. It's not, as you can tell, this is just a tiny part of it, and $2.4 million, $2.5 million bucks. And the entire, but we're thinking that the entire project will be done by the 4th quarter.
By October 1, yes, sir.
Good. That one's sort of, it's visible, and it's visible in a lot of ways, you know, so.
He's being kind.
Not
It
going into
stinks,
detail yet.
It's ugly and it stinks. Just say what it is.
Very
Now,
noisy and
what I
afraid.
appreciate is Public Works is doing everything they can and throwing every chemical that is in it legal and in existence to make it not stink as much. But it is where we are, and that's what happens when we're dealing with aged infrastructure. And because this was how old?
Parts of it, I saw the dates on parts of it back to early 1900s.
And you don't mean like the 80s, right?
No, right, yeah, as the kids would say, yeah, the actual early 1900s.
So we are dealing with some, it is a horrible inconvenience, and, you know, it is not what you want to lead into our beautiful facilities and new stuff that we have. However, we appreciate the fact that we're working as quickly as we can with all the extenuating circumstances, because we can't, you can't go under the easements of the railroad?
Yeah, we're working both in a railroad easement and in a highway easement there.
Which is somewhat difficult to work around. So our schedule is not the schedule of the railroad. I'm saying all this so you, Universe, you can understand that if it could be fixed immediately, it would be. because it is not something that is appealing or that we want to represent our community. But we know we need to fix the things that we need to fix, and we are working on it as quickly as we can, dealing with all of the outside sources that we have to deal with. But I am anticipating that this agenda item and this fix will work, going to whatever, talking to whomever you need to talk to make that a thing. And that June will be that first phase. And so what will that look like? So I know we're in 4 phases and we got to go to October. So in June, what will I see or won't see?
You'll see equipment on site, essentially driving a steel pipe into the casing that's already there horizontally. And so there'll be some preparation of the site. You know, I've been out at the site with, you know, we owe a lot to Charles Least and Cody for being creative in this solution. This is going to test some techniques that haven't been necessarily done at this scale before. And so they'll be out there closely monitoring it. So you will see some heavy equipment out there to accomplish that first phase. Okay. And then phases 2 and 3 should be somewhat less than that.
Okay. Well, that's why the mayor will tell you, and we believe that we're best in class. So y'all carry on and do what you do.
Looking forward to October, getting that complete.
No joke. Oh, my God.
All right. If there are no questions, that will end the manager's report.
I did have a couple of comments on the resolutions. One of them, we had a serendipitous sort of sequence of equipment. I know we're buying equipment this time of year, and we had 4 in a row there on 108, 109, 110, 111. I just got to say this because I was reading it this weekend. I thought it was weird. You had a little bit of a 12 Days of Christmas there, Partridge in a Pear Tree. We had 4 Toro golf maintenance equipment, 3 Caterpillar backhoe ladders, 3 solid waste collection motors, and a Caterpillar haul tank truck. And a Partridge in a Pear Tree. $2 million worth of equipment there, but I know this. I know you didn't do that on purpose, but it was unusual. Hey, the other thing I really want to bring up, in all seriousness, is the resolution on 096. And it's about a park that we're going to vote on tonight, downtown at 2301 Austin Avenue, about naming it after our former mayor, Virginia Dupuy. And it's really, I appreciate everything that staff has done in getting this project this far along. It's going to be a great park downtown, right? What are the cross streets? 23rd and Austin Avenue, that little kind of pocket neighborhood park there. And honoring a person I think a lot of, and we all think a lot of Virginia Dupuy, who is just the grand dame of Waco mayors. And she's really been an example to all of us on how to civilly run a meeting, and she's just been a great person. So I look forward to having her at these events. And if anybody else has anything to say about.
Yes, Mayor, I know Councilmember Ewing and I are very excited about that, as well as the whole council. And I wanted to give a shout out as well to your predecessor, Mayor Dylan Meek, had been a long advocate for this site as a park. And so he kind of had the vision for this, and I appreciate Councilmember Ewing's advocacy for turning this land that is not just in the floodplain, it's in the floodway, into usable park space there in kind of a growing and revitalizing area of the Austin Avenue Neighborhood Association. This is technically in District 4, but it's been wonderful to partner with Councilmember Ewing on this and to honor our longest-serving mayor, who is truly a beloved civic leader who has dedicated decades of her life in humble service to our community. So just wanted to lay that.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment entirely, and really, really glad that we got the seal of approval from the Historic Landmark Commission to go forward with this. Longest serving mayor in the city's history, and I think it's really appropriate to have a cemented legacy piece like this that will stand the test of time. And frankly, while this is not a call for proposals, I think it's a great example of the city being strategic and identifying a piece of land that is not really developable or usable in any long-term positive way, or is prohibitively expensive to do so, and being able to step up and step in and say we can make this something that benefits the community. So Want to give big kudos to the staff that worked really hard on getting this deal across the finish line initially, because it was not easy. So I see Jonathan Cook here in the front row. Want to give you a shout out because I think we engaged on this probably right when I got back on the council in 23 and closed the book on it, late last year. So really appreciative of the work of your department, of legal, of everyone to get this done. And I'm looking forward to moving forward with the groundbreaking and greening that space up. So.
Sounds great. Any other comments on the work session items, guys? Is that everything, City Manager Holt? All right, we'll now move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes Resolution 2026-094 and Resolution 2026-095 through Resolution 2026-119. Are there any items the council would like to remove from the consent agenda tonight? Okay, then the consent agenda includes 2026-094 and then Resolutions 2026-095 through Resolution 2026-119, except Resolution 2026-119. And that has to do with the Marathon restrictions on routing and stuff. And I think Councilmember Borders has a affidavit of substantial interest on that one.
Mayor, we have an additional ASI that was filed for Councilmember Chase. It will be Resolution 102.
Resolution 102, Councilmember Chase.
Honorable guy over here.
We'll pull that. Which one is that? Not that it matters, I'd just like to know.
It's for the Waco Housing Authority item.
Okay, one of the votes on support. Okay, George has a conflict there. Okay, so we have two of them. We're going to pull 102 and 119. The next item on the agenda is work session items 2026-088 through 91. City Manager Holt, can you introduce the first work session?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, for our first work session item, number 88, I'd like to welcome Jason Cook, Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Baylor University. Mr. Cook is here to present on special events at the Foster Pavilion and other Baylor University facilities. And viewers might pay attention and notice a family resemblance to our next speaker as well.
Yes.
Thank you, City Manager. And please do not ask me about parks, okay? It's great to be in front of council today. A lot of good news to share. But first and foremost, on behalf of Baylor University, a big thank you. A thank you to the City of Waco for investing in Foster Pavilion as an anchor to the riverfront development. A thank you for investing in live music and entertainment. It is a strong signal of a vibrant, exciting, alive community, and I think that you'll see in a few minutes we're making good on our promises that we've made to the city as part of this investment. I am speaking not only on behalf of Baylor, but also on behalf of Noise New Media, and that is a music agency out of Nashville that we have hired to help us in this world in terms of booking talent, but also marketing talent, marketing the city, marketing Foster Pavilion as well. And they've just done incredible work and really gotten the vision of an incredible concert program that we've put together. As a brief reminder, the Foster Pavilion contract, the agreement that we have with the city, has three main buckets. One is what we call performance events. And over a 730-day period, which is 2 years from the opening of the pavilion, Baylor is required to produce 10 professional ticketed entertainment events over that period. We'll report out on those today. The second thing is Baylor is required to have 10 university events at Foster Pavilion on an annual basis. And then third, which the council is very familiar with, community events. The city has 25 days per year of access to Foster Pavilion. It's very important to us, that partnership and a recognition of the investment that the city has made in the facility. So looking back on 2025, just a recap of the concerts that Baylor hosted, not just at Foster Pavilion, that's what the little Fs mean after the names here, but just in toto. And I think it's important to talk about the ecosystem of live entertainment that we're creating. First was Forrest Frank. That was our first concert that we had at the Pavilion. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the Boys from Oklahoma. We actually reactivated McLean Stadium, fulfilled the original vision of that facility. Major concert there. We had Ty Myers, which is a national country artist at Howdy at the Herd. Then we had Lauren Daigle for Family Weekend, comedian Jeff Dunham, and then country rising star Tucker Wetmore as well. A brief look at each of these. Forrest Frank is a Baylor alum. It's quite amazing. It's almost been a year since we hosted our first concert at Foster Pavilion, sold-out concert. He also has a residence here in Waco, but just an incredible opportunity to get people into Foster Pavilion who are not basketball fans. These were families, these were young kids, people from the region coming here to really experience something new and different in our community. The Boys from Oklahoma concert brought over 37,000 people to McLean Stadium, and over 95% of the attendees there did not have a Waco address in terms of buying tickets. So it was really fabulous in terms of bringing in not only regional crowd, but also people from across the state of Texas. And then I think we had about 8 other states represented in the crowd there. So a huge opportunity to bring people to Waco, experience our town, stay in our hotels, eat at our restaurants, and then enjoy some great live music as well. Then for Family Weekend, we had Lauren Daigle, a great opportunity as we welcome Baylor families and parents near the start of the fall semester. I did mention Ty Myers earlier, just an incredible talent based in Austin for Howdy at the Herd. And then Jeff Dunham, a comedian. You're seeing a little bit of diversity in terms of types of entertainment we're looking at. Jeff Dunham is another Baylor alum. This was the first time in 40 years he had been invited to come back to Baylor University and perform. And Jeff said it might be the last time he's invited to perform at Foster Pavilion, but just a wonderful representative of Baylor and just had an incredible experience of comedy at Foster Pavilion. And then lastly, we finished with Tucker Wetmore. Tucker Wetmore was nominated as one of the Country Music Association's Newcomers of the Year this past year, and he was repping the Baylor jersey quite well. I don't think many people could do that and wear it like he did. But just a quick note of the nature and the level of talent that we are trying to attract to this area. These are A-list touring national performers here. This is a picture of Hudson Westbrook at the American Country Music Awards. He will be at Foster Pavilion in April. And the top right is Lauren Daigle. She actually hosted the American Country Music Awards. And then at the bottom right is Tucker Wetmore, who performed at that national event. These people were in Waco, Texas, and they're also appearing on national stages. So it's very important that we're getting that caliber of talent into our community. In terms of some challenges that we're facing with the pavilion, one is just the arena size, and I kind of use it as kind of the 3 bears. It's either too small, or it's too big, or it's just right as part of that. So really trying to find the right fit for the pavilion, the types of acts, where they are in their career trajectory, and then also making sure we can have an affordable ticket for people in our community to attend. And then also just recognizing the ecosystem that Foster Pavilion exists in. You know, we have Brazos Nights, which the city invests in for the community. We also have the HOT Fair. We have the Backyard. We have Camp Femfo. We have the Texas Music Cafe. So an incredible ecosystem of live entertainment, but looking at how do we leverage Foster Pavilion so we can all work together. The second thing is just the arena availability. It's highly dependent on when we get the football and the basketball schedules from the Big 12 conference. For example, we did not receive the football conference schedule until the end of January, which makes it very difficult to plan fall schedules in advance, given the level of talent that we're looking at. And then finally, just the ancillary cost, just trying to get our costs down from a production standpoint and the support around the facility. We've got a pretty good track record after 1 year, and we're making some great strides there to, again, make sure that we have affordable entertainment, not only for our guests, but also people in the community. I suspect everyone has seen the billboards and saw the big announcement about Post Malone and Jelly Roll coming to McLean Stadium in May. This is quite significant. Post Malone and Jelly Roll are global music icons. Both Platinum Grammy winner for Post Malone. Jelly Roll just won 3 Grammys a couple of weeks ago, and just incredible excitement about this concert coming to McLean Stadium. The closest these two people will be on tour is El Paso, Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So we anticipate significant influx of people from the DFW area, from Austin, from San Antonio, and even from Houston and beyond as well. So a great opportunity to showcase our community, particularly on a Tuesday night, which will hopefully drive some great hotel rooms and great tourism to our area. So looking at 2026, here's the concert and event lineup that we have. We had the Globetrotters last Saturday, which was just tremendous. The entire lower bowl of Foster Pavilion was full, and just to see so many families and young kids in the facility, that was a vision for Foster Pavilion. And again, we thank you for that. I mentioned Hudson Westbrook. He is performing at the San Antonio Rodeo tonight, one of the hottest stars in country music. He'll be here on the 24th. We have comedian John Christ coming in at Waco Hall on April 29th, and then Post Malone Jelly Roll. And then we have a Hispanic concert with La Fiera coming in on July 19th. There's a lot of excitement in the Hispanic community for this concert. We've been working in conjunction with the Hispanic Chamber there. And then we've got more to come. We're working with John Bible and the African American Chamber to get a artist to come in that would be multi-generational to attract that portion of our community as well. So lots of activity and lots of lines in the water, and hopefully we'll get some more to come into the community. This is just a look circling back on our agreement with the city. Again, 10 professional ticketed entertainment events in a 730-day period, which will end in mid-November. Number 8 is actually number 10 is we will announce that at the end of April, and we are close to signing deals on 8 and 9, so we feel really good about meeting those contractual obligations with the city. That concludes my report.
Wow, fantastic report. Thanks, thank you, Jason. Any comments or questions for Mr. Cook?
Hey, Jason. Appreciate the report. Love seeing activation downtown. You can definitely tell when, especially when some of the bigger events are happening, you go downtown around the same time at all, and can't find a place to park. People are walking around. There's buzz, there's excitement, both for things happening at the Foster as well as across the interstate there at McLean. So keep up the good work. I know you mentioned sort of finding that Goldilocks zone for bookings with the Foster. Is there any strategy or I would assume that the New Noise or
Noise New Media.
Noise New Media is well versed in sort of arenas or stadiums that are roughly our size in markets similar to ours, with the university, maybe along a statewide thoroughfare. Is there any sort of fine tuning or strategy? Do you feel like there's been any nuggets unveiled in the last 6 months or so that you're excited about applying to this year for maybe fine tuning that and hitting that Goldilocks zone?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and I will tell you the music industry is very expensive right now.
Yeah.
And I think coming off of COVID, there was just so much pent-up demand, and the artists are demanding significant guarantees. And then also, if you look at the students we have on our campus, Gen Z is all about experiences as part of that. So we do have a sweet spot, which we think is good for the facility, and targeting those those artists heavily, whether they're in the country or the Christian or the Hispanic, African American genres. We have a wide range of prospects that we're looking at, and people hit me up all the time with ideas. So we'll chase those down for sure. But we do feel we have a sweet spot now for the facility.
That's great. And then the other thing, and I don't know what the delineation is. I know for Boys for Oklahoma, there was alcohol sales. And then do we know if there will be for Post Malone Jelly Roll? And kind of what is the demarcation there on the decision for that? I know it's a big revenue generator when you do have it at the events, but.
Well, as a university, we've committed for these what we call community-type events, whether it's at Foster Pavilion or at McLean Stadium, we will serve beer and wine for those. So you will have that sold for the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert. And at Foster Pavilion, it is artist-dependent. Like, for example, Forrest Frank, Lauren Daigle, Christian entertainers, we did not sell beer and wine, but we did for Jeff Dunham and Tucker Wetmore as well. We will for Hudson Westbrook coming up in the Lafayette concert. So a lot of it is artist dependent as part of that, but the university is very open to making sure we get serve the community and welcome the community and have full concert amenities there.
Awesome, great, thank you.
Hey, Jason, thank you for the presentation. A couple of things. One, I was at the Globetrotter game, and it was really amazing to see all of the families that were engaged. And I mean, the Globetrotters are amazing anyway, and they too are celebrating 100 years of entertaining folks with their skills. And so it was really a sight to see. I got a couple of questions and quasi comments, so just walk with me as I'm going through this. You mentioned the Big 12 schedule kind of being a hindrance about specifics, booking folks. Forgive my athletic ignorance, but I mean, aren't they typically about the same annually? So like, it's not like, Andrea's gonna, hey, Andrea, I know you're singing this concert on September the 6th, and you're only gonna be in this area the 6th through the 8th. And we don't know if the game is gonna be is it that specific, or is it as you're trying to kind of set your calendar with themes of who you wanna see, you're working around that. Tell me what that framework looks like.
Really good question, and it is a puzzle to put together. So you're looking at home and away, or is our football team gonna be at home or on the road? Then, once we get the full schedule from the Big 12, we're able to set homecoming.
Got it.
We're able to set family weekend, other open dates. We'll have an open date, so I wouldn't want to schedule a concert that would be highly dependent on a student population, student attendance for fall break on an open date. So we want to have all those pieces in play. We set homecoming, and then we fill around from that, since homecoming is so big for Baylor in the community.
Sure. And, in, I guess the general question, because we know that we are in the, I-35 corridor, and there are musicians traveling up and down 35, constantly, as Councilmember Ewing mentioned. Are there any other hindrances in how you choose your artists? Because, I realize that Baylor is Baylor, and that there are a variety of music that may be outside of the scope, but, as opposed to, because I know that this particular, which are great. You've got, award-winning artists and things, but they're mostly country, or are we planning to diversify that? Because I know that you mentioned the name. Lafayette is coming to do Tejano. I don't know if they're necessarily Tejano or if it's just Latin music. I'm not familiar. But are there other groups that, you know, so if you're doing jazz, or are you doing rock, or are you doing rap, or are you doing, you know, because I don't want us to get into the pigeonhole of, you know, oh, I've got a Hispanic act, oh, I've got a Black act. What are we doing holistically?
Right. Yeah, we are looking holistically, and I think that that's so why it's important to have different touch points throughout the community, not just within Baylor as part of that. And I will tell you, Post Malone is probably about as far from the Baylor brand, core brand. Incredible entertainer as part of that. So we had to have Jelly Roll to kind of balance that out as part of that. But, you know, I don't, you know, we are cognizant of different types of content related to that. And, but I think that it's a pretty wide runway that we're working on.
Awesome. I know, I mean, this guy that you may know, that y'all share a face. We've been working really, really hard about making sure that when Brazos Nights comes through, and I mean, if the Eclipse taught us nothing, it was Jonathan Cook knows how to find an act. And just to make sure that we are representative of the whole of our community. So, you know, I'm on Team Jonathan with this. We're still trying to get Erykah Badu to Waco, so work it out. I'm sorry. He's not being disruptive, rude, or any of the things on the list. Boisterous. But, you know, like, I think that between the city of Waco and the work that we're doing to expand culture for our community, and the work that Baylor is doing and has the access to do with these two amazing venues that, you know, are, again, right on I-35, we can do some pretty awesome things culturally for this community. So keep up the good work, and we'll get it all done.
Jason, thank you very much. Quick question. Pivoting a little bit more to the 25 community events, how are we utilizing those? Are they happening? Are they a challenge?
Yeah, we have had a couple of community events that are hosted there, and I think that trying to get the expense schedule down, because sometimes the expenses related to the facilities just doesn't work. Related to that because of different community entities and things of that nature. And we have not said no to anyone yet as part of that. So when these city or requests come in, we run them down. We try to make the facility available. We say yes, but get the expenses down, so where some of the community entities can use it has been a challenge for us, but something we're working on.
Is that just like parking, security?
It's parking, it's security, it's janitorial, and then even flipping the arena. One of the things about the arena, the hardwood floor is permanent. So anytime you want to bring in an outside event, you've got to cover the floor as part of that. So that has some added expense. But we're trying to crack that nut to make sure that we make it available.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Jason, thanks so much. I appreciate your work. And the Foster Pavilion and McLean Stadium are two like premier venues, and I appreciate your work in trying to get these top level acts. These are next level, like you say, Post Malone, Jelly Roll. Even I know a bunch of their songs. That's how big they are. My 15-year-old knows all of them, and I know quite a few of them. So thanks for bringing those guys in. It means a lot to the city, not just from the entertainment impact, but also the economic impact. I love live music, and I love what we're doing there. But the economic impact, particularly when the Oklahoma, the big one at McLean, I think every hotel in the county was sold out, and downtown businesses were very happy with the amount of money that was rolling. And then we hope to see the same thing on these big concerts. So it's super important to the city because that's tax revenue for us and for the taxpayers, and we get to do things with that. And just in a greater scale, I appreciate the town and gown relationship that we have with that the city has with Baylor, and all the things that we're doing downtown together on the riverfront and the downtown businesses altogether, what you've done with McLean, or what the school has done with McLean and Foster, nearly $500 million of investment. You guys believe in downtown, and the city of Waco believes in downtown. So we're all pushing in the same direction. I love to see that. One thing, but I think the same kind of general question was asked about the Goldilocks, kind of the perfect deal. And my perspective, I grew up outside of Omaha. It was really close. We saw all the big acts because Chicago was on one side, Denver was on the other side. They had to stop halfway in between, so Omaha saw everything. With Waco being so close to Fort Worth and Dallas and Austin, do you also hit like blackout territories and that? I can only imagine it's got to be hard. So that's why I was so impressed that we pulled this one off with El Paso and I guess Louisiana.
Typically, it's a very good question. The artist will have a 90-mile radius.
Right.
So we bump Fort Worth like 93 miles, and then even Georgetown area, Austin, North Austin, we're like 91, so we're really close there. But trying to route people on tours, maybe they're not playing in Dallas, Fort Worth, or Austin, but maybe they're playing in some of the casinos in Oklahoma. As part of that, or maybe they're playing in Houston. It's very strategic of trying to get a good routing there, but there are some blackouts, and it's a puzzle getting the artist who's the right fit for the facility, getting where they are in the country geographically. Are they on tour? Are they not? And are they available?
Yep. All right. Thanks a lot, Jason. Great presentation. Okay, the next item is work session 2026-089, discussion on the Alice Rodriguez Park. My main question is going to be, Jonathan, you stayed for Jason's. Jason, are you going to stay for Jonathan's? All right. Let's make sure. City Manager Holt.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been working hard to cook up some work sessions for you today. Up next, our second work session presentation, 089, will be presented by Jonathan Cook, Director of Parks and Recreation, along with Sterling Hill, Project Manager for Cumming Group. This presentation will provide an update on the Alice Martinez Rodriguez Park project.
Good, Mayor and Council. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. And a little bit of a common theme. We talk about and highlighting things such as our Faith and Leaders Conference, the activities at the STEAM Center, what's going on at Foster McLean. And when you boil that down, it's really creating spaces and places for the community to come together. And that's with every project we're looking at, and it's pretty amazing. And I know just the other weekend, stuff going on all around town, like was mentioned earlier, and you feel the vibe, and you feel the excitement. And there is no doubt that there is that excitement starting to build in an area of town where there is a lot of dirt moving around. And we're happy to be here today to talk about Alice Martinez Rodriguez Park and where we're at in the construction of this regional destination. Today, we're going to look at a project overview, get everyone up to speed, and obviously take a moment to look at the background and milestones as this has been an ongoing project. But then really clarify, as we've moved into full construction phase, what to expect. We've talked about a lot of ideas, seen some beautiful pictures and some flyovers, but really want to give a firm idea of what this park and really all the amenities that will be featured. We're going to look, there are a couple current agenda items that were up for consideration today involved to the construction ongoing, and then also the budget and scope updates and see where we're heading as we're moving on a tight timeline to make sure we get this park completed by the end of the year. Briefly, the project overview, and know we've given overviews before, but really honing in that there is no doubt this is a regional destination park. And first and foremost, as our former council member, now with the name and honor of her, Miss Alice Martinez Rodriguez, the first thing was, one, to create a park that's accessible for all abilities. And at the same time, we saw a unique opportunity to honor the cultural heritage of our South Waco neighborhoods and also really look at a spot to connect this park to different areas of town through a variety of nature and recreation. Overall, it is our largest park investment that the city of Waco has made with the $25.3 million budget. We're going to explain where that money is going and just the type of park that's really a game changer for our city. I mentioned that construction timeline. We did end up breaking ground October of '25, and we are on target for a completion by the end of the year. I mentioned building that park for all and wanted to take the time to highlight, we've talked about a couple different areas in our downtown parks, but that accessibility, of course, you know, you go through the layers and we want accessible to people of all ages and all abilities, but one of the exciting things about this park is just how it sits right in the middle of the heart of Waco. And so it will serve a community and regional destination. You see the map with the red star with our yellow parkland all around it. And that's a constant mission for us that we've looked at over the past 10 years is as Waco has grown, how do we, one, focus on parks that we have, but also introduce new park property into the inventory. We started in 2022 as the master development agreement came into place for the development of the Floyd Casey site for the residential and commercial components. But where that put us was the identification of 30 acres of land along Waco Creek next to the track and field complex. I mentioned the allocation of funding in 22 and 23, and then really almost a 2-year design process. Shows the magnitude of this park, but that started with community input, the neighborhood groups, creating the vision plan, and then we roll into the construction and documentation. Got that out to bid, and we were honored, as you see in the picture on the right, to celebrate a groundbreaking, but you know what's better than the groundbreaking is always that ribbon cutting. And so we're excited to get there here shortly. What exactly to expect? Just for some reference, really a couple components to highlight here. You have Clay Avenue running down on the bottom of the page, intersects with Clay. The former football stadium and residential development taking place on the bottom off of that slide. But we really have core 2 areas, the current track and field complex and then our core park site. And to zoom in on the core park site, want to show you some of these amenities that we've had. And I'm going to flip back just real quick because visually it looks pretty small right there. But mind you, we're dealing with over 30 acres of property here. So you zoom in and really the magnitude of this playground with 3 different sections, everything from an art component, cultural heritage, but then also a sensory area, all abilities, all inclusive, just a dynamite playground that not only tells a story, but gives everyone a different place to play. At the top of the screen, you see we've got a great community lawn, be able to host some of these concerts, festivals, music events that we've been talking about. Over on the right-hand side, we're excited to bring an all-wheels course into the portfolio. This is not just a skateboard course like we have at Sewell Ross Park, but an all-wheels course for bicycles, scooters, even wheelchairs, a pump track to get some momentum going, also with some artistic components as well. We have some pickleball courts, some futsal, soccer courts, comboing in with some basketball courts over on the right-hand side. And then moving to the left side, our main plaza pavilion that'll be able for multiple rentals at a time and also host up to 150 people, but an interactive fountain as well that will be illuminated in the nighttime hours. That fountain flow over to our nature zone to where we have a detention and wetland area that will basically filter through the creek before it goes into the creek, and also creating that pedestrian bridge, very important as we're going to be able to connect to the track and field complex and really tap into that overflow parking on that side of the park as well. So a lot going on in that park, and it's been fast and furious. And with that, definitely wanted to bring in the expert and give credit as Sterling Hill and the Cummings Group has really stepped in on this project to make sure we're staying on track and on budget. An amazing job of working with a variety of different departments and city staff to collaborate. So I'm going to turn it over to Sterling to give us a little bit of a dial in into the construction specifics.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, y'all, for having me, Sterling Hill, with the Cummings Group. And we are really thankful to get to stand alongside the city, to stand alongside Jonathan and his staff in this project. And we believe that we've made some impressive progress. You're going to start to see some vertical construction here soon in the late spring. So really, I just want to talk to you about our schedule progress and then budget progress. I won't bury the lead. we are on budget and on schedule at this point. We put together a pretty aggressive construction schedule, as Jonathan said, starting in late fall, but we believe that we will hit our timeline and finish this year on budget. So just some quick construction milestones. Right now, if you drive by the site, which I hope you will, you'll see a lot of big equipment. We got site utilities going in, a lot of excavation work. You're going to see big dirt piles and culverts going in, some cast-in-place concrete going in at our pond areas, and making just a lot of progress on site. Like I said, kind of towards spring, early summer, you'll start to see some vertical construction of our restroom buildings and masonry work ongoing. We're starting now some of the foundation work. We cut across the creek there, and we'll start drilling piers. So a lot of progress on site. Some of the more, I guess, fun items will happen towards summer, late summer, with the skate park and splash pad and playground installation happening. We have been really cognizant in long lead items. That's often what you get in trouble with in construction timelines. And so we were really cognizant on the front end with the bridge order, with the splash pad order, and then we actually procured the playground equipment directly, saving the city significant dollars, but also being able to control that timeline, which is that playground equipment will be completed in June. It's highly specific and really exciting for the city. So drilling down a little bit more on current progress status, or project status real quick. We prepared for the storm that happened a couple weeks ago, and just pleased to present that nothing negative happened to either this project or the project in China Spring. We prepared for that. There was no losses financially. We did lose a few days weather-wise, but that we can make up. Permitting inspection, here I would just say a testament to the city and the partnership across multiple teams. And that's been one of the most gratifying things that we've gotten experience with Cumming Group, is working with city staff, with Jonathan, Tom Balk, and Deidre, but then also people like Brittany Combs and Mark Keeley helping us, because this is taking coordination along multiple levels of the city. And it's been complex and exciting, but the permitting and inspection specifically has allowed this process to keep going. I would also give huge credit out to the Public Works Department, Mike Norman, for the work at Clay Avenue. We tie in, our utilities tie in there at Clay Avenue, and that's a critical part of our schedule, tying in the domestic water and sewer at Clay Avenue. And they've moved heaven and earth to make our park timeline on schedule. So really just, it's been a huge team effort. Also with Millis Development, our general contractor and design workshop, our design team have just been great partners. So really it's been a privilege to work on this team. Like I said earlier, we're placing the site utilities now. You'll see concrete being poured today. They're out there pouring concrete today. And one of the challenges that I do want to point out there on the last bullet there is that we discovered pretty early on some Class 2 municipal waste. And not to bore you with details, but you can't compact waste well to build foundations. And so kind of an unexpected challenge was getting that waste removed and taken to a landfill. One way we were able to mitigate that is China Spring Park is happening concurrent to this. And there was actually 4,000 yards of usable dirt that we could transport from China Spring Park to AMR Park. And so we were strategically able to save money and time by using the dirt that we already have and not buying more dirt. Dirt's expensive. So just a testament to the city, how we've strategized together, how we've used these two projects in concert to save money and time. And we feel that we've been able to mitigate that risk, both financially and schedule-wise. There's no current risk to the project besides us mitigating and removing that waste from the site. So I want to drill down kind of into what you're going to see today from a value engineering standpoint and then from a budgetary standpoint. So obviously protecting our schedule, but the budget is critical always. So what you'll see today is really the culmination of a few months of work with Millis Development and the design team. So you're going to see a credit change order from Millis Construction of just over $325,000. And there's quite a few items in this change order that we've been able to achieve some deducts through a design process and through just us really working with the design team collectively. And then you're going to see some things that we're adding to mitigate some of this waste disposal that we had to incur unexpectedly. So we're going to come out to the good with all of these exposures. And what this will allow us to do is lock in a scope for the track and field in April. So last time we met, we talked about the track and field scope staying central to the project. And so we were strategic at the beginning of the project. And you can go to the next slide if you want, just to show you the numbers. We set aside a fairly significant track and field allowance of just over $2.2 million at the beginning of this project. We also strategically put contingency for us to control at the city level for unknowns like the Class 2 waste that we're having to remove. And so these numbers are current of what you will see today at council, which is the credit change order from Millis Development, and then the environmental haul-off change order from Smith Inland Engineering. And so these are current today numbers. And so what we'll be able to do over the next month is work towards a finalized scope with the track and field. So we're working directly with the design team and the engineering team to finalize that scope so that we can deliver that on time with the project. So super excited to keep the progress going. We're moving fast, and I'll let Jonathan close us out.
Well, and one of the things it is, and wanted to mention, as we look ahead, and I've got it on the final bullet there, we are going to be coming back with that final track and field scope, and want to reassure everyone, and one of the more beloved programs that we have is our Team Waco track program that Cynthia Sims runs. And we want to make sure that the needed improvements are going in on that, and we're still in position to do so. So timeline, and we think if things fall in place, that timeline that we've always looked on the track, it should line up with a similar completion date, so we keep the park and try to get everything open and full, but we'll for sure be ready for the track season next year. So we do have the consideration of agenda items. We're going to continue with the environmental work, that utility placement. And as we mentioned, once the vertical construction starts going, you start getting a little excited. Then once the colors start coming in from different playground equipment or features in the park, this thing is being delivered and on its way. So with that, any questions? But appreciate the time to give an update on Alice Martinez Rodriguez Park.
Any questions or comments?
I appreciate the work y'all are doing to keep us on budget and on schedule with this, and amid some of the challenges, but also the excitement and the opportunities here. I do appreciate the intentionality with the track. Both Town and Gown have produced a number of Olympians that have run on that track, and looking forward to continuing that great legacy and that great program within the Parks Department.
Great. Jonathan, I think you proved it today there were not too many cooks in the kitchen.
Man, they just keep coming.
Although I think I saw Jason doze off a couple times.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, great job on this. This is, like you say, the biggest park investment we've ever made. And we're trying to do that in conjunction with the De Cordova Springs development there, and the Hispanic Heritage Trail, and that connection to South Waco Community Center. And there's a lot of things happening here all at once, and sometimes that can get hard and confusing and coordinating and collaborating, but I appreciate the work that you guys have done, particularly when you hit this wrinkle on the environmental. I was a little concerned that would delay the whole project, but you guys have responded and reacted quickly and resolved. So just great things happening in South Waco, and that's going to be just a really cool neighborhood. And I encourage, as you did, Jonathan, everybody to drive by there. You can kind of see it from Dutton, and you can see it from Valley Mills, obviously, and it's just going to be super cool. Appreciate it. Thanks again, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our next, any other cook jokes on the end of this?
Well, I was just going to thank him for keeping us on track.
Okay, so that one.
Well, not as good.
No jokes here, but I am excited. Nora keeps asking when the park will be done, and now I'm excited I can show her this spreadsheet on the timeline and let her know that we're ahead of, on schedule and on budget.
We got the Gantt chart. You
Yeah,
can show that to her.
she's following along. So
I
Baby's first Gantt chart is always a milestone, you know?
All right, on to work session 2026-090, first quarter financial report. City Manager Holt.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Next, we'll have Colin Booth, Managing Director of Finance, for our third work session presentation on item 090. This presentation will cover the fiscal year 2026 first quarter financial report for revenues and expenditures through December 31st of 2025.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. It's a pleasure to be here. So this is, again, our first quarter report for FY26, and this is October 1st of 2025 through December 31st of 2025 revenues and expenses for our 10 major funds, as you can see there on your screen. So jumping into the general fund, year-to-date revenues are at 32% of budget. Overall, our revenues are about 1% higher than this time last year, so we're right on track. I've got slides for our two major revenue sources right after this for our property taxes and our sales taxes, so I'll do a little bit deeper of a dive into those in subsequent slides. Looking at our expenses for the general fund, our total budgeted expenses and encumbrances year-to-date are at 31% of budget. And you've heard me talk about encumbrances before. Those are purchase orders that reserve money to be spent throughout the rest of the fiscal year. Those are a budgetary control device. We have about $4.8 million in encumbrances for the general fund. When we remove those, we're at 29%, so we go from 31 down to 29% when we remove those encumbrances. 61% of our maintenance budget has been used for vehicle parts maintenance and equipment and parts maintenance. We anticipate those being on track throughout the rest of the fiscal year. About 83% of our budget for the general fund has been spent or encumbered in the contracts line. You can see that there in that category on your screen. These contracts would include payments and encumbrances to the Appraisal District, Creative Waco, McLennan County Tax Office, and then we've also had multiple economic development grants that are paid and encumbered in these numbers as well. So that's on track. Our capital budget's at 57%. That's on budgeted expenses, those one-time expenses for machinery and equipment, furniture, fixtures. Also, finally, at the bottom right of the screen, you can see our estimated ending general fund balance at 12/31. Again, these are estimated and unaudited numbers, but we are estimated to be at about $58,795,000. That's over our 27% reserve amount, 27.5% reserve amount by $1.543 million.
I had a question on this one, Colin. And I think you answered it on this page, but can we, in our go-forward quarterly look, where we have property taxes at 22,621, I think that's just your total divided by 12 times 3 or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Can we conform that to the next page, which you're about to talk about, to show what we actually think is going to come in, so we have a better comp?
Sure.
Year over year.
I'll make a note. I'll make a note of that.
Because I think we're right on top of each other. I like the next slide, obviously, because we're showing we're basically right on top of where we should be. This one just kind of isn't as accurate as the next page.
Absolutely, and we do like those weighted averages on the property tax and the sales tax and our major revenue sources, because it gives you a little bit better idea, as you're saying.
One other question on the previous page. Where we have budgeted our interest revenue at $1,555,000 through the first quarter, and we clearly are, the rates have dropped. So we've got $834 in there, actual, about half of what we budgeted. Do we need to be thinking about recasting a budget showing that increment? Let me say it's going about $700 a quarter. That's about $3 million for the whole year.
So that's a great question, and we'll take a look at it. I think some of that has to do with the receiving of the interest payments when we get our semi-annual interest payments coming back in. So yes, we will take a look at that. And speaking of projections, we're going to reproject this, and then we'll have projections on other revenues and expenses that our budget department is doing. But yes, we will take a look at this and reproject interest because it is off pace, as you've noted.
Yeah, and it didn't foot year over year, was where I was kind of thrown off too. We're showing 834 actual, last year it was 900, roughly the same, but for some reason we had projected almost double that. And I was having a hard time reconciling what that was. Anyway, we'll take a look at it.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, for those questions. Looking at our property tax slide, we've collected 40% of current year collections year to date, as you can see how we're tracking on a monthly basis. That 40%, it's 40.9% cumulative collected year to date. That's about the same percentage that we've collected this time last year. So again, we're going to monitor our property taxes on a monthly basis and compare that to our $89,723,000 budget. Our sales tax collections, if you look up at the top left, you can see this is the January payment for transactions, sales transactions that are occurring in November. So that is ramping up for Christmas shopping. So we're 6.8%, up 6.8% to budget for November, again at the top left. And then we're 11% up based on the same period last year. So that time period for last year, so that's good. Our fiscal year to date is at the top right. We're up 8.5% of the budget to budget and up 12.1% compared to the same time of the prior year. I've also, since we've had these numbers here, we've received February's numbers, and I'll go ahead and just give you those. February sales tax payment was down 8.8%. However, we had a large audit adjustment in February of 2025. So that large audit adjustment, when we take that out, current collections were up 3.7%. So we always want to normalize that and take out those large one-time audit adjustments. So I think that's good news on February. When you look at our sales tax projections there in the middle of this slide, you can see our 2 months that we've got in here so far. We're projecting, we've got a $60,430,000 budget. We're projecting $63.884 million. So that's 5.7% higher. And again, with the amount that we've received in February, that projection will be a little bit higher. But again, we always want to caution with sales taxes because whenever things turn down, our sales taxes can really restrict. So this is one that we definitely monitor on a monthly basis.
So what was the number do you have it, the December number then? We could fill it in?
I don't have the total with me. I just have the percentages with me, so I apologize. But we'll get that number out to y'all.
Got it, thanks.
Looking at our water fund, our quarter one revenues are at 24% of budget. That's about 6% lower than this time last year. Our primary driver for our revenues are our metered water sales, and I've got a slide right after that, right after this for just to talk about metered water sales. We also have some other revenues in here. So we've got a bulk water sales revenue. It's called other water sales. That's trending above expectations due to higher than anticipated bulk water activity, so that's good news. Overall, our expenses are just below our quarter one benchmark, just right at 24%. We've got encumbrances of about $1.3 million in our $15.838 million year-to-date expenses. Supplies and purchase property services are slightly higher due to encumbrances for water treatment chemicals and street maintenance expenses. We expect that these categories are going to remain on track throughout the rest of the year unless something changes. Estimated unassigned fund balance at the bottom right is about $40 million. That's $20.5 million higher than the minimum reserve policy amount. Looking at our metered water sales, you can see right in the middle of the slide, our budget for metered water sales is $62.961 million, a little bit off pace, $806,000 lower when you look at it on a month-by-month basis. I think one of the drivers behind that is precipitation. So when you look at the monthly precipitation numbers, precipitation was slightly higher in September, October, November, December of 2025 compared to the same time period as last year. And as you know, precipitation can affect the amount of water sales that you have. So that could be one of the reasons behind some of these numbers here. When we look at our wastewater fund on the next slide, our year-to-date revenues are $19.5 million, or 26% of budget. That's about 10% higher than this same time last year. Most of these revenues come from our charges for wastewater services. Those are performing slightly above with a positive variance of about $821,000. We've got a $2.2 million budget in other sewer charges. Those are holding strong. We've got no unusual revenue spikes or shortfalls in the wastewater fund. Our revenues are trending slightly ahead of budget. The fund's on pace to meet or slightly exceed the annual revenue target. And again, as I mentioned earlier, as the budget team is preparing projections, we'll have tighter and tighter numbers as we kind of go along. So these are kind of preliminary forward-looking statements. Expenses, our overall expenses are lower than the first quarter benchmark at 19%. The full amount of our transfer, you can see in our transfers line, it's a large percentage of expenses, primarily due to debt service payments. Those transfers are made on February 1st and August 1st in anticipation of those debt service payments. The rest of the spending is on pace for this fiscal year. Maintenance and supplies are slightly elevated because of street and sewer maintenance supplies, wastewater plant chemical supplies encumbered early in the year. We're expected to remain on budget there unless there's any problems as we encounter after the end of Q1. Other purchase services are at 77%. That's higher due to full year of property, auto, general liability insurance that's paid in December. That's going to be a consistent statement throughout this fund and the rest of our funds, as that's going to make our Q1 expenses higher because we typically make those transfers to our insurance fund to make those insurance expenses done in Q1. For our wastewater fund, our estimated unassigned fund balance, you can see at the bottom right, is $43.2 million. It's $22.2 million higher than the minimum reserve policy amount. And so that's where we're at the estimated amount at 12/31. Looking at our wastewater service charges, our budget is $50.367 million. That's slightly positive variance of $820,892. And just as a reminder, this has less seasonal fluctuation because our residential charges are based on your average winter usage. And so that takes out some of that precipitation variable that you might see in the water charges on the previous slide. Looking at our solid waste fund, our total actual revenues are at 23% of budget. We've got these broken down into different revenue categories such as commercial collections, residential collections, roll-off collections, those types of revenues. So we've had a slight, very slight minor decrease in commercial collections. However, that's offset by a little bit higher residential collections, but we anticipate our revenues are going to be slightly ahead at year end. So everything's pretty much on track with these major revenue categories. Our expenses for total actual expenditures and encumbrances are at 29%. We have $3.6 million encumbered here. When you remove those, we're at 20% of budget, so that's good news. The contract services for the transfer station, environmental monitoring, litter abatement, permit fees, landfill costs, those are all, a lot of those, not all of them, a lot of them are encumbered in your year-to-date numbers. Estimated unassigned fund balance is $9.564 million. You can see that's under our 27.5% estimated reserve amount. $139,000, that's less than that reserve policy benchmark. However, again, we've got a lot of these expenses encumbered to be spent over time, and over the year, we're going to be collecting our revenues, so we anticipate that by the end of the year, we're going to be back there in a positive state on this fund. But we wanted to report what that fund balance is there like we do for the others.
A quick question on just the charges for services that we are behind last year's year-to-date, and we're 9% behind budget. on revenue sources. Does that have anything to do with kind of switching over the landfill from one place to the other, or how? Tell me how I should be reading that, and why I shouldn't be
Off
panicked.
the top of my head, the answer's yes. I think there might be a timing delay with the revenues from the new transfer station. We'll take a deep dive into that, but off the top of my head, I think I do remember hearing that there might be a slight delay.
Do you see where I'm talking about?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah, we were projecting 8.5 million of revenue, and we only had 7.7.
Yep, absolutely.
We were getting a head nod from Cody in the back saying, yes, that's true.
Yeah, because it seemed like we had originally thought there was going to be some revenue in the fourth quarter, or our first fiscal quarter. Is that right, Cody? From the new one? Okay, yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Looking at our drainage fund, our total budgeted revenues are at 8.1 million, collections at 2.3 million. It's 29% collected. So that's slightly higher than we had anticipated. And it's really due to the timing of the fee changes that we've got in the FY26 budget. So if you'll recall, we had a drainage fee decrease offset by an increase in street fees, and so we're slightly ahead of revenues here because of the timing of that fee increase being on January 1st of 2026. You'll see the opposite comment when we get to the street maintenance fee fund, but that's basically just due to timing there. Otherwise, we're on track with our budget expectations. Expenses, our total budgeted expenses are 10.3. We've got actual expenditures of about 1.4 million. Total actual spendings at 13%. Maintenance and supplies are a little bit lower than that target percentage, but we're expecting that to be utilized as the year progresses. We're over our minimum reserve policy amount by 5.347 million in this fund. Turning our attention to the Cameron Park Zoo Fund, our total actual revenues are at 18% of budget. So it's slightly below budget at this point in the year in terms of zoo admission. That's primarily due to the seasonal timing. The zoo's not yet reached their higher demand spring and summer months in terms of expenses, so we would kind of expect that here. So we're not expecting that to be an issue. We're expecting zoo admission revenue to strengthen as peak visitation begins throughout the year as we get into the spring and the summer. When we look at expenses, where our budget is 8.4 million, actual expenses are 2.3. Actual spending is about 27%. Again, our purchase services, we've got the timing and the expenses for the property, the auto, and the general liability insurance. And then our purchase property services is at 12%. We've got utility charges are trending lower than expected, so we're going to keep an eye on that as well. The fund balance at 12/31 of 25 estimated to be 5.167 million.
This is one where I get a little concerned on it too, when we're under budget by marginally almost 40% in revenue, in charges for services. And then also under last year, year over year, we're actually under as well.
Yes.
Both in March and charges. So I don't know, we need to do a deeper dive on what's happening there. I know that some of it's seasonal, but it's not proven out to be seasonal if we're behind year over year as well.
Right. And we've got the attendance numbers. I think, if I recall correctly, year-to-date attendance this year is slightly behind year-to-date attendance this time last year, but we can also take a deep dive into that as well because we track those attendance numbers.
Yep, and you had some good information in the informal report too, that I'll follow up with a couple of questions on it.
Absolutely, yes, sir. And in that informal report, there is some of the slides related to some of the background information in terms of attendance for this and the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame and those types of things.
Right.
Cottonwood Creek Golf Course Fund, our total actual revenues are at 24% of budget. Our major revenues at the golf course are on track with no major variances from this time last year. Our net merchandise sales are slightly higher this year compared to last year. We've got about a 10% increase from last year, so that's good news. Our expenses, our total budgeted expenditures, our actual are at 39% of budget. We've got about $628,000 in encumbrances. So We remove those encumbrances, we're at 21%. Professional and technical services include full-year encumbrances for temporary staffing. We also have those insurance payments that I've mentioned earlier. Our estimated fund balance at year end is negative $380,680. However, when you exclude those encumbrances, we're in a positive state. But again, as we continue to collect our revenues throughout the rest of the fiscal year, we anticipate that we're going to be back in a positive fund balance scenario by the end of the year. Our airport fund, our total actual revenues are at 27% of budget. We've got year-to-date parking fees are embedded in these numbers. So we have $44,470 received in this quarter for our parking fees. So that's our new source of revenue that y'all will recall from discussions last fiscal year. We're projecting that to be around $200,000 by the end of the year. So that's a nice revenue pickup. Our year-to-date cargo hangar fee revenue is also higher than anticipated. It's at 74% of budget, so that's good news there. The airport fund expenses are at 43% of budget. When you take out those encumbrances for the year, we're at 29%. Our other purchase services expenses are at 88% of budget, primarily due, again, to the full year of the insurance payments. Travel and training expenses are slightly higher, but we're still expected to stay within budget on that. Professional technical services are above the first quarter levels for encumbrances for security services is one of the major encumbrances there. Estimated ending fund balance for the fund, airport fund, is about $1.1 million for 12/31 of '25. Taking a look at the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame Fund, our total budgeted revenues are $2 million. Year-to-date are $444,000. That's 22% of budget. Slightly lower than the benchmark, 7% lower than this time last year. It's slightly lower, again, it's kind of alluded to around the zoo discussion. Year-to-date attendance is slightly lower compared to year-to-date attendance this time last year. So that's kind of one of those things that we're taking a look at. The expenses, total budgeted expenditures are $2 million with actual expenditures of $466,000. That's 23% of the budgeted expenses. Again, the property and GL insurance payments have been made here as well. The remainder of the Hall of Fame expenses are on track or lower than anticipated for Q1. We have a positive ending fund balance, if you look at the bottom right of your slide, of $275,000 at 12/31 of '25. And then finally, our street maintenance fee fund, our year-to-date revenues are $5 million, which is 21% of budget. Again, that's slightly lower due to the timing of that fee adjustment that came into effect on January 1st. So that's being phased in. And so that's why these revenues are slightly lower, because we had the street maintenance fee increase for FY '26. Total expenses are 24.8, total budgeted expenditures are 24.8 million. Actual expenditures are 13 million, so that's 53% of the budget spent. You'll notice that the primary driver of that is the transfer out. It's 98%. So we took a large amount of the fund balance in this fund, transferred it over to the street maintenance CIP fund to set aside for street maintenance improvements so that our infrastructure department and our public works department can continue with the street maintenance fee money set aside for those street maintenance improvements. So that's why you see that large expense as a transfer out there. We're still 6.2 million over in fund balance. When we close out the audit and have the final fund balance, I anticipate we'll have another tranche of money being moved over there to, again, set aside that money for those street improvements.
You may have hit on it, but the charges for services, which I thought was going to be kind of linear, that $2 per month or whatever, that we're off by, we've only accrued or collected $496,000. We had budgeted $1.4 million. And maybe I'll just follow up with you with that question. Do you see what I'm talking about? Our budget was
Yeah,
$1.4 million
yes, sir.
of
Yep,
revenue,
absolutely.
and we've only had 500,000.
Right. So we projected the budget based on the full year of the fee increase. I think on the residential side, it was a $2 per month fee increase.
Yeah, so I was thinking.
If I'm not mistaken. And so because that fee increase became effective on January 1st, that's causing us to be behind. But, you know, to your point, we can sit down and do a deeper dive on that.
Yeah, can we clean that one up too? Because if it's, I guess in my budgeting career, I do not like things divided by 12 and like thrown in there. If we have better science on seasonality in a budget, and we can compare that to what's actually happening, I think it
Absolutely.
Because I guess that's what that is, right? Okay,
Yes.
all right.
And at this time, I can take any questions, and I appreciate your attention this afternoon.
Any questions, guys? Great report, and I think we kind of doubled up on it because you had the informal report that has even greater detail, so I appreciate your work on that column.
Yes, absolutely, and you'll be getting that informal report monthly. It's something that I'm very, very proud of. Y'all will be getting that monthly. We'll be doing the presentation quarterly for you all, so.
Fantastic. Thank you, Blue, in the back there, too. I know you had something to do with this. All right, appreciate it, Colin. The next item is work session 2026-091, resolutions of support for some housing projects. City Manager Holt.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Last but not least, Galen Price, Director of Housing and Community Development, will present item 091 with a discussion of 3 applications for housing tax credit resolutions of support. This discussion follows the presentation made in City Council Budget and Audit Committee on February 10th.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you, City Manager Holt. As he mentioned, we will be discussing the request for resolutions of support for the 2026 Housing Tax Credit Program administered by the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. Presentation, I'll give a quick snapshot of the discussion between affordable housing versus market rate housing. Talk about some location of previous projects, as well as projects that are requesting resolutions of support, the impacts to the strategic housing plan, as well as the staff recommendations and next steps. Affordable housing is a unit in which someone spends no more than 30% of their gross monthly income towards housing, which includes utilities as well. Well, a market rate unit has no restrictions on the rent or income level for the occupant. Now, here we have a map showing over the last 5 years projects that have received resolutions of support from the city and received an award from TDHCA and tax credits. And then we also have projects that received a resolution of support and did not receive an award from TDHCA. Now, if you notice on the map, we only have one project over the last 5 years that did not receive an award after receiving a resolution of support. Now, this map shows the requests that you'll be considering today for 2026. As you can see, there are 2 within the core of the city and 1 in the ETJ. So the first project I'll be discussing is the Trails Apartments development, which is at the northwest corner of Gurley and 21st Street. To give you an idea of where that project is, it is adjacent to the Cove on 21st Street. It is across the street from the development we're partnering with yours truly Custom Homes for the development of 21 lots and South Waco Elementary. Now, this project, estimated at approximately $22 million, is the development of up to 120 1- and 2-bedroom units for families. Now, proposed amenities within this project include energy-efficient appliances, walk-in closets, as well as the community's areas and business space. This picture right here is a picture of Avanti Viking Hills, which this developer, Madhouse Development, is the one who did that project back in 2025. Here's some photos of the interior of those units as well as photos of the common areas. Okay, the next project I'll be discussing is the Esteri Waco, which is the partnership between Friends for Life and the Vecino Bond Group. This project is located at 1704 South 18th, which is across from the Waco ISD bus barn and not too far from the exchange at LaSalle and 18th Street. This project, estimated at $18.7 million, is the development of 65 units of supportive housing, which are units for persons with disabilities. Now, we also wanted to include a site plan to give you an idea of how the project would be oriented on that piece of land that is currently being developed. Now, amenities within this project include area for supportive services, energy efficient appliances, as well as a community room and business center. Now, here are pictures of a couple of projects that were recently done in Austin by this developer. One was, the top two photos are a project called Liberated, which was the development of 198 family units. And the bottom two pictures are of Expresso Rutland, which is the development of 171 units of transitional housing. And the third project is the Devonshire Station. Now, this is a partnership between the Waco Housing Authority and Housing Solutions Alliance, located out off of Ritchie Road. Now, this project is located in the Waco ETJ, and because of its location, it would need support from the city as well as the county. Now, the county has provided a letter of support for this project already. This project is the development of 66 units of senior housing in a cottage-style development, estimated at a little bit under $24 million. The amenities included in this project would be a community center, courtyard landscaping, as well as energy-efficient appliances. Now, the impacts on the strategic housing plan would be that this project will assist in increasing the number of affordable rental units within Waco, as well as assisting in reducing the number of units in the mixed-match housing gap. It also provides additional units for seniors and families, as well as the development of vacant parcels of land. So the staff recommendation would be to provide resolutions of support for each project. As mentioned previously, these projects address needs identified in the strategic housing plan. Also, staff is recommending a waiver of the 15% market rate requirement for each of these projects. Now, a few factors are playing a part in this, which includes the value of credits for the investors, as well as the difficulty in obtaining private equity in today's market. So it'll allow them to maximize the amount of credits they receive due to the additional affordability. Staff is also recommending for the Trails and Arasati Waco development that council provide a letter stating that these projects contribute to the revitalization efforts in Terrace number 4. So on tonight's agenda, you have requests for resolutions of support for each of the projects. Now, these applications are due to TDHCA by February 27th, and then they would await notice of award by July of this year. Now, these resolutions of request for support do not guarantee that the project would be funded. However, it does provide critical points in the scoring criteria. If they do receive awards, then that project could continue through the city's development process, with the goal of construction beginning in 2027. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Price on this one?
Can you go back, I think it's 2 slides, you were talking about and the market rate units in this particular, waiving this particular unit. I understand how the economy is, but this won't set any sort of precedent for us, will it?
No, it is still part of our policy. And so each time that a unit, a project would request a market rate waiver, that would have to be approved by council as part of the issuance of the resolution of support.
And you and the department feel that this is acceptable for these particular instances?
Yes, because right now, given where the 80%, 70 to 80% AMI unit is, it's really right in line with what our market rate units are. For example, a 2-person household for the maximum rent that they would provide at 80% would be $1,422. So that's essentially kind of the same as a market rate unit.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Director Price, I mention this every time that we do this, and I know when like us older members of council, well, nice, longest serving members.
I was like, fix it, Jesus.
Nobody's as old as me. But when we first started looking at these, AJ, that it was kind of complicated, and we got 4 or 5 different ones, and we're trying to figure out, you've standardized this, and I just appreciate that we can look at this in confidence and feeling good about the letters of support, because I know that was sort of fragmented before you got involved, and you've made it a lot more objective and helped us all make better decisions. And really hitting your recommendation points, increasing the number of affordable housing rental units, providing available units for seniors and families, developing vacant parcels of land, and serving the populations of seniors and disabled is what we're trying to do in these projects. And I think you're hitting the mark on a lot of objectives for the city. So again, I appreciate it. One question, sometimes there's like organized opposition. I didn't see any of that in this round from neighborhoods or that kind of thing.
No, we did not receive any negative feedback from the neighborhoods regarding these requests.
Thank you, Director Price. I appreciate it.
And just to clarify the mayor's remarks on age, I believe what he meant to say is he's surrounded by 4 Gen Xers who are absolutely in their prime, just top peak performing condition, and a young man in his early 30s.
You did not see this when it was disorganized. You only know the fantastic work that Director Price does. All right, City Manager Holt, that's it on the work session items, correct?
Yes, sir, we're done.
All right, we have one more item on the agenda, that is future agenda items. Are there any requests for future agenda items? I see none, so we'll now recess the work session and reconvene the regular session for executive session as read into the record by City Secretary Hicks at 4:49 p.m.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council will go into executive session in accordance with the following provisions. Real property, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.072. Economic Development, Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.087. We are now in executive session.